Hello everyone, here again today with another video. And this one, if you couldn't tell already, is about a Mac. I've been on quite a bit of a Mac fix lately, if you haven't been able to tell by the extreme massive videos that have been Mac related. Anyways, this is an iBook G4. This iBook G4 I got off of eBay for a whole $17. Basically entirely working with a full 1.2 gigs of RAM, 1.25 to the 0.25 part being integrated, a 1.2 gigahertz PowerPC G4 processor, a 40 gig hard drive, which was deader than dead, and a 1024 by 768 LCD panel. This iBook G4 was released in about 2005, or, manufactured in about 2005, and actually, it doesn't feel that outdated. It's 10 years old at this point, but it doesn't feel that outdated. So, let's go into that. A few days ago, challenged myself to use this and solely Mac OS X 10.4 Tiger for 3 days. Just so I could see if I could do it. And what I found was astonishing. The software support base for this is really quite vast, unless you plan on playing games on it. LibreOffice, still on there. Supports Skype, 2.8. Supports a YouTube player, not Flash. And 10.4 Fox, which is a Firefox derivative. And it's not Firefox 2.0.0.20, it's Firefox 31 ESR, believe it or not. So that's amazing. How they are able to keep that going for such a long time. It's really amazing to believe the amount of software support they have for a platform that Apple's completely abandoned. So now let's really get into my experiences with this. Most of the time when I was using it, I was just using LibreOffice, and that runs pretty well. The other times that I would use it, I would either be surfing the web, so using 10.4 Fox, or watching YouTube, which works well with MacTubes. I'll provide a link in the description to the website I got all of this off. It has various software for Tiger, Jaguar, and Leopard, so you'll find a bunch of PPC support there. The overall experience with this is pretty overwhelmingly positive. macOS 10.4 really isn't that bad. I can do whatever I need to do with it. It's still an extremely user-friendly operating system. It's really hard to get into anything technical. Would you believe if I told you that surfing the internet on 10.4 Fox was perfectly smooth without the NoScript extension and with a 1.2 gigahertz PowerPC G4? It's buttery smooth. Unless you go to watch a YouTube video, which has the Flash player enabled by default. In that case, it gets down to about half a frame. But other than that, it runs very well. Let's go deeper into the hardware now, and I'll shut this off so we can get a better idea of stuff. As I said, I got this laptop off of eBay for $17, all included. Shipping, the price of the thing, everything. I was the only bidder on it, and I personally think I totally stole this thing. This laptop came with a dead 40 gig hard drive, Samsung, unfortunately. The heads were fused to the platter, which is an age-related wear symptom of older Samsung spin point drives, unfortunate as it is. Everything on this laptop is in pretty darn good condition. The screen is nice and bright, there's no backlight issues. There's a bit of cracking around the edges of the screen, but that's not something I'm going to get all worked up about. The keyboard feels nice, and there are no dead keys that I know of. The speakers work nicely. The touchpad and mouse button work satisfactorily, and the latch still works as well. There's a bit of sticker residue on the top, and there's this on the bottom, but that's not something that's horribly hard to clean off. There's a bit of scratching on the top, as you might be able to see, but that's not a problem either. The Apple logo on the top has no dents or dimples. It looks just about as the day it was built. On the back side, it's about the same story. There's a bit more cleaning up it could use, but besides the rubber feet that are missing, it's basically all good. The little latch here for the battery is nice, and this battery, I looked it up with an application that's available for OS X 10.4 called Coconut Battery, and it said that this battery still retains 87% of its original full charge. That's to say that of its original 4,400 milliamp hours, it still retains 3,800 milliamp hours, or thereabouts. So that's pretty darn good. They must have replaced this battery at one point or another, so I'm going to take very good care of this. Specifically, this model is an A1054, which you can almost see there. Made in China, obviously. Assembled in China, designed in California. And it says copyright 2004, so this might be a little bit older than I thought it was. And as you can see, this uses a bit of an odd voltage standard, 24 volts DC at 1.8 amps. So not the 19 volt standard that's typical. So this might not be a lithium ion battery, and I'm not exactly sure about that. This laptop, I would venture to say, weighs around or about 3 pounds. It's not too heavy, and it's not too light. And I am perfectly fine with that. That is an acceptable trade-off in my mind. The process for getting under the keyboard to access the RAM and airport card, which, may I note, is not installed in this case, it's incredibly simple. You simply pull back on these two tabs and pull up, and you're having access to the RAM and the airport card. The little top part is gone, but that's not a problem. And it goes back in just as simple. You push it in, pull the little clippy-doo back, here's so, and push it in. Nothing to it. I would just like to talk about the laptop in general, how it functions, how it feels. The keyboard feels extremely nice. It's not overly tactile, but hey, I don't need it to be. They have a nice travel distance. They feel nice. They don't feel chintzy or anything. They don't feel bad. And they just work for what they're designed for. The spacebar, as it should, has a nice little tactile noise to it, so that's a good thing. And typing on this thing is great. I don't have any problems with typing on this at all. And the touchpad is extremely nice. It's very responsive, and I found that the touchpad rejection is very good. And the single button on the touchpad makes doing something like this very nice, especially for web browsing. I have an application that allows two-finger scrolling, so if I'm on a web page, two-finger scroll, click, two-finger scroll, click. Super simple. Now getting onto the power on. Some of the time, if you have your sound off, you will not hear the lovely startup sound. And since this thing takes like 8 or 9 seconds to turn the screen on, you might not know that it's actually on. There's no power indication other than that, or the hard drive noise. So watch this. I'm going to press the power button. You can hear the CD drive, so that's a noise indicator. But even if you can't hear that, there's one other thing you can do. Caps lock LED. It's on. And that kind of goes into one little nitpicky thing I don't like about this. If you look very carefully, you can see right in the center of that LED, and the bleed is pretty bad. But that's very nitpicky. Very, very nitpicky. This laptop boots up in quite a quick time, especially for its age and the speed of its hard drive. Its hard drive is a 40 gig Hitachi, and that hard drive is a slow piece of crap, let me tell you what. It's very, very quick to boot up. If you took out the password entering time, it would probably be like a minute. And that's amazing for a laptop from 2005. So, yeah. And another thing I would like to note, I'll get LibreOffice open and I'll get back to you with that. So we have LibreOffice open, and to be honest, I think LibreOffice takes more time to open than the operating system does to boot up. So that's a storage speed issue, not a problem with LibreOffice or the processor. The processor does not ever get to full operation or full intense usage under any type of load, really, except if you're watching Flash. There is a CPU monitor down the bottom here, so if you're ever wondering, you can look at that. That is a separate app that you can get. It's so useful. If you're ever going to do something like this, I recommend you get it. Now, back into what I was going to say. When you're typing, that's all fine and good. Again, storage speed limitation. Typing is all nice, you can just type away. And if you need some numbers, you don't have a keypad. But, as you can see up here, there is a numlock key. And I love this. You can type in numbers, but it won't let you type in letters. So as you can see, I'm just spamming letters right now. Nothing. That is ingenious. Not only do you have the LED to tell you that numlock is on, it will not let you type any letter. I cannot tell you the number of times that I have seen someone freak out because they have their numlock on and they did not know it. That is ingenious. And this is from a laptop from 2005. So Apple really, really was thinking about that when they designed this. Maybe, I don't know. So now you might be wondering, did he move? I feel like he moved, and I did. That's because, as I noted before, this does not have an airport card. And I need to be located close to a wire. And I have a wire, so I'm now hooked up to the wire, and I'll demonstrate 10.4 Fox. You can see the CPU monitor over there. And it's open within a few seconds, so let's just search cheese. Any speed limitations on this right now are going to be totally due to my internet. It's not because of the loading speed of the computer. My internet is terrible. So now, two-finger scrolling on this is a little bit hairy, but I think that's because I've messed with the settings a little bit too much. But 99% of the time, the two-finger scroll works amazingly. Right now, it's just a little bit too fast. But, yeah, there's that. 10.4 Fox is great to use, let me tell you what. And now, if I go into this MacTubes program, I'll really show you what it can do. It does get to full use when it's opening MacTubes, so that's something to note. Now, MacTubes is a very nice program, and it's designed to get rid of the YouTube Flash Player thing for PowerPC Macs, because Flash Player for PowerPC Macintosh computers is absolutely the most resource-intensive thing I've ever seen. It completely destroys your CPU in such a quick amount of time that you would not believe. So it's literally a requirement to have this program on any PowerPC Macintosh. Just saying. Now, if you go up here at the top in the MacTubes thing and you hit player, and go to player again, you'll notice you have three players. You have the Flash player, which you don't want. You have the video player, which is the HTML5 player, and the QuickTime player. The QuickTime player I found runs the smoothest out of the three. The HTML5 player is alright, noticeably better than the Flash player, but still not as good as the QuickTime player. So if I demonstrate here, I'll skip to it. So the search is very easy. You just type in up here and it's good to go, basically. So I'm just going to click the first video. It opens up a new window once you double click. Opens it in full, as it should. Takes a second to load the player, and you're off to the races as soon as it loads.
Here's a sad story. Not only is this vintage Gateway 2000 computer hideously ugly, just looks like a blown capacitor or something. Every side is bulging.
As you can see, the CPU usage is kind of up there, but if I switch to HTML5 player, for example, which is the video player, play it again.
Not only is it ugly, it's also broken.
To reload there, you can see this is HTML5.
Here's a sad story.
And as you can see, it's incredibly choppy, and the CPU usage is just through the roof. Now, if I switch to Flash Player, that's where things get really ugly, because it just grinds into the ground and dies, and I don't know how the poor thing keeps up. It clearly doesn't. Okay, so, well, after a few minutes of waiting for this to load, it hasn't even loaded. So, there's your Flash Player for you. It doesn't even load anymore. But just trust me when I say that Flash Player on these things runs terribly. Terribly.
Here's a sad
But
story.
QuickTime, just
Not
perfect.
only is this
It's
vintage
full frames
2000
and everything.
computer
I love it.
hideously ugly. Just looks like a blown capacitor or something. Every side is bulging. Just doesn't look right for a tower. But anyway, not only is it ugly, it's also broken. As you'll see in a moment, even with an external controller installed, for some reason it refuses to properly recognize IDE drives.
Enough of that. Can't copy his videos, you know. So that's that. YouTube works. Yeah. Thumbs up. Yay. Now, I will attest, one thing that I had to get used to on this was the command keys. On a Mac, everything you do that would be a hotkey in Windows is dedicated to the command key, or the Apple key, whichever you prefer to call it. So, copy, Command C. Paste, Command V. Undo, Command Z. You get the point. Deleting something, Command Delete, which is, kind of on the other side of the keyboard, so, but, you can do that too, so. One thing I don't like very much about Mac OS is its apparent lack of customizability. I've looked around through the customization, and you can't really do much to change its look other than the desktop background and window border changes. So that's a bit disappointing, but I can't really complain all that much about that. So there is one other thing that irks me a little bit, and that's with flash drives. My flash drive, before this point, I had formatted as an NTFS. Completely normal, whatever. And I needed to plug it into my Mac to put stuff on it. Little did I know that a Mac cannot write to an NTFS partition. Wow, that was great to know. I would plug the flash drive in. I would attempt to put a file onto it, and it would say, cannot write to volume Lexar, which is my flash drive, because the volume is read-only. Thank you, great. Now how do I fix that? I go to get info, which will be somewhere up here. Didn't tell me anything, couldn't change the permissions, just told me I can only read. Whatever. I did some more exploring. I looked through the settings, looked around to see if I could find anything odd. Nope, nothing there either. I looked around some more through the flash drive, wondered if there was something really, really weird going on and there was some sort of configuration file that I needed to edit. Nope. So I theorized that it might have been the fact that it was an NTFS volume instead of a FAT32 volume, and in fact it was. Mac did not know how to write to an NTFS partition, but it knew fully well how to write to a FAT32 partition, as it very well should. So, yay. Congratulations, Macintosh. That was not fun. Had to copy 8 gigabytes worth of files, drivers, and other miscellaneous crap onto a different computer, format it, and then put it all back on there. Not fun. Should have just been able to read NTFS right out of the box. There was one other venture that I tried on this, and this has nothing to do with the iBook or Mac OS. But I tried to install Ubuntu 14.04 for PowerPC. That was a dismal failure. Even on the live CD, whenever you would open anything but the setup program, it would crash and burn. It would lock up and do absolutely nothing until you restarted it. And it completely spiked the fan through the roof. It made it so high that I could not even hear the hard drive, and the hard drive is loud in this thing, man. So that was kind of something that I didn't like. Just didn't sit well. I really don't have this thing ever get past idle fan speed when it's running. One other thing is that the hard drive in this is a slow 40 gig Hitachi, and that does affect performance greatly. Opening LibreOffice, for example, is very slow and takes quite a bit of time. But I think easily with a storage upgrade it could perform amazingly. And reinstalling all the programs I have on here would be as simple as heck. Since Apple has totally abandoned this platform, all of the ISO images and updates and everything is available online for free. All you need is some CDs or DVDs and you're great to go. Taking this thing apart too is also a lot easier than other Macs I've heard. There's a bunch of screws on the back you have to remove, but that's about it. There's a couple under the battery. They're little sneakers, but whatever. And then you just pry around the edges and it comes right up. And if you don't even need to do that, all you have to do to get to the top side is remove this, remove the keyboard, and then just pry around the bezel and it'll come right up. Just be careful of the little ribbon cables they have under there. And you're fine. And you can access the hard drive after you remove the 13 million tiny screws on a shielding plate. And then you can access the hard drive with little trouble. So, yeah, not a big deal. I think they really did a smack dab job with this. I really do quite enjoy this laptop, and I'm going to continue using it as like a school/work laptop. It works very well for what it's designed to do, I think. I enjoy using it. It doesn't make me feel horrible for using a Mac like a heathen. It's nice and enjoyable to use. I'm completely serious. I mean, probably, like, the biggest problems are right now the storage speed limitation and the battery charging time. From 0% to charge to 100, it takes about 4 hours. Not that great. But that's really not a problem. I mean, the battery has plenty of lifetime on it anyway. Just charge it regularly through the day and you're good to go. So I think that's about it for this iBook G4. Now, I'm going to conclude on this. Just because I'm saying so much good things about this does not mean that you should go to eBay and immediately buy one of these. That is not a good idea. If you're looking to do anything outside of the realm of what I did on this, you're going to have absolutely no luck. There is no modern software for this other than what I have installed right now, which is fairly basic to say the least. And I just discovered that Dropbox is ending its support for this. So I can't use Dropbox, which is a real shame. So do not go onto eBay and look for one of these to buy. This should not be your first choice when looking for a good business or work laptop or school laptop. By a long shot. Not by a long shot. If I was to give this laptop a rating out of 10, I'd probably give it a 7 out of 10. It's great. Legitimately great. So, that's about it. Thank you for watching, everybody, and I hope you enjoyed this video today. And if you'd like to see more videos kind of like this or of this style, please leave a thumbs up or do something in the comment section to indicate to me that you enjoyed this type of video. Thank you.